everyone. It's me, John Lorden. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Brain Scratch Case Cracked for today, Tuesday, August 29th, 2017. Today's story isn't very long, but I really wanted to find an international story, and I have to give a very big thank you to Luna Potter, who's been sending me suggestions regularly, trying to help me out with this show. I really appreciate that. Today's story is from China. I know on this channel it's tough because a lot of the media that I cover is in the US, so I'm really trying to break out from that mold a little bit. I hope you guys all appreciate today's episode. This is The Writer Who Killed, the story of Lu Yongbiao. November 29th, 1995, a guest house, or probably what we would refer to as a hostel, in Wuchu. Two men check in with the intent of stealing from other guests. They are caught by one of those other guests, and things escalate drastically. The two robbers wind up murdering him, but don't stop there. They now have to cover their tracks, so they also murder the couple who owns the hostel and their 13-year-old grandson. The bodies are found in rooms 202 and 203. Cause of death was blunt force trauma. They had each been literally beaten to death. Investigators felt that the murderers had no connection to the victims, making it the toughest type of case to solve. There was no camera system in the hostel. The main clue investigators had was a description of the two men from other staff members who noted that the men had heavy Anhui accents. Anhui is a province in the eastern region of China. This wouldn't be enough to help investigators find the robbers, and the case would go cold for more than 2 decades. Occasionally during that time, the case would get reopened and looked at again. Investigators would wind up testing about 60,000 fingerprint files over the course of the investigation. In June of 2017, the case would once again be reopened. Police used modern DNA technology to analyze fingerprints, footprints, and towels used by the suspects at the hostel, and found a link to an unexpected suspect, a moderately successful author. 53-year-old Lu Yongbiao was at his home in Nanling County in the Anhui province when police arrived. Lu was published by one of the country's largest publishing houses, was a winner of the Anhui Literature Award, and even had one of his novels turned into a 50-episode television series. In the preface to his 2010 book titled The Guilty Secret, Lu mentioned that he started to write another book about a female writer who commits murders and avoids being arrested. He wanted to call this book The Beautiful Writer Who Killed. He was hoping that that book would later be turned into a feature film. As Lu was being handcuffed, he commented, "I've been waiting for you here all this time." He openly confessed to the murders and even had a letter written for his wife and gave it to one of the officers arresting him. The letter stated, "I've been waiting for this day for the last 20 years. Today, there is finally a conclusion. I can finally be free from the mental torment I've endured for so long." His accomplice, Wang Maoming, now a 64-year-old legal representative for an investment company, was also arrested in Shanghai shortly after Lu's arrest. Wang has also confessed. Police are saying the motive was very simple. The suspects simply needed money. They have been charged. Now, I don't know in terms of the process in China what's next. I would assume there's some type of trial and then some type of sentencing, but since they have confessions, I don't know if they're just going to sentencing. This was a real tough case to look into because the media is largely coming from only a few articles that were written in China about this case, but then those stories have been replicated in our Western media over and over and over, largely talking about the same few points and not really going into much more detail, and getting some of those points wildly inconsistent from one article to the next. So I'm not sure what type of sentences they're looking at, but I have to imagine for, 4 murders, and one of those including a child, and considering the age of these men, they were in their 20s to 30s when this was going on, I think they're probably going to be facing pretty stiff penalties out there. Also, as you can see behind me, I don't have a photo of Lou. Through all the articles, there was another picture of him shown, but they blurred out his face. It was a really tough one to research, but when I read about the core story, I really thought that it was something that I wanted to share with you guys. He's not the only writer who has murdered. There are other cases where this happens, but there's this weird sense to this story, at least with how it's being told here and the few quotes that we have from Lou himself, about him almost feeling like he's come to peace with it. Apparently he had trouble sleeping, and it's like he was waiting for this day to finally happen. I don't get any sense that he continued with these types of crimes. And even when we look at the conditions that happened around that one, it was really a botched robbery. It was them looking to do one thing, and that went south in a very bad way. And then, unfortunately, they made several bad decisions after that by killing several other people before they fled. It's weird. It's really weird to look at these and just remember that there's still humanity. Here you had someone that tried to move on with his life, got remarried, started a whole different career, but he definitely deserves to pay for what he did. I mean, he ended the life of a 13-year-old boy, a couple that was providing a service by owning this business and letting him into their place to have a place to sleep. I mean, it's really an interesting case for me to think of, just with the few facts that we do know about it. What I'm curious about is, did he finish that book? Was he planning on ever releasing it? Do you guys think that he's going to now write more, that he's incarcerated, or maybe possibly write a nonfiction account of what he had done or something along those lines? Would it even sell if he did? I really have no idea. But thought it was interesting, wanted to give you guys something from another part of the world, so I hope you appreciated that. Once again, thank you to Luna Potter for sending this my way. Hope you're all having a great week. Thanks for spending some time with me here on the channel. I'll see you back here tomorrow with a lot more. See you then.